Firstly, thank you very much for coming to my show.
Oh, I'm happy to participate.
So I've gone through your profile and I can see you're founder of a company, also you're self-employed.
Yes, so I've had a long career in technology. I've done many things. Started out as a developer and an architect, and then had some leadership roles where I was a chief information security officer and a vice president of engineering over a very long career. I taught computer science at Arizona State University for a few years and have done a lot of consulting. But for the last, I'll say, 10, 15 years, I've worked as self-employed, doing a variety of things, including starting my own nonprofit. So initially, for about 4 or 5 years, I was part of teams that did technical due diligence. So that's for companies, big and small, that were getting some kind of funding, seed funding for maybe for startups or getting a round of funding if it was a little bit larger. And there's usually a technology group that goes in and analyzes the tech and delivers a report of how they match up to best practices. So, we basically meet with CTOs and product managers and sometimes architects, people like that, really, dig in and then make recommendations. So I did that for actually quite a number of years. It was really interesting. So I talked to a lot of people and saw a lot of different architectures. And I reached a point where, I wanted to do something that was a little bit more purposeful, that would benefit people a little bit more. And so I had suggested to that company that we create an arm for nonprofits, give a discount and stuff like that. I was not able to sell that idea, but everybody thought it was a great idea. They just, they probably weren't financially in a position to support that. And so I decided to start my own nonprofit instead. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years.
So you are into technology from long time, worked for different roles, leadership, also as an architect, also worked as a consultant and also working for different businesses. Now you are running your own non-profit thing. So what's your intention?
So, as I said, I have a long career. Just to tell you how long it is, I got a master's degree in computer science back in 1980. That's probably before you were born, but so, computing has changed a lot, right? When I first started, we were punching cards and rolling out paper tape, probably things that are in the computer museum somewhere. So, over time, that's why it's always been very exciting, to be part of what I'll say, riding the tech wave. So I've got very interested in databases. I have several patents in that area. And then I became, one of the original cloud people. I was on the beta team for AWS and GCP. And so really have been very excited about the cloud world. For somebody like me that would used to go out to data centers and swap boards and stuff, this was great having it all logically, in a console. So I've really been kind of excited about that. Now I'm very excited about that was a big step forward, right? That was a big change from data centers to cloud. And I think the next, I'll say, C-level change is now from the world of databases and APIs to the world of large models for artificial intelligence. Things like ChatGPT and other technologies that are going to follow it. The number of models and APIs are going to be astounding, and the ways that they're integrated and used is very exciting. So I started a nonprofit, and the nonprofit is very targeted to a very specific set of very specific community. It's called Sibsforever, and it's for siblings who have lost their sibling through death, either through illness or some other way. And it's a very difficult. I'm a surviving sibling myself, so it's a very difficult thing to go through because you grew up with somebody, and they're really part of who you are, and then they're gone. And so the idea of of what I wanted to do is provide a resource for surviving siblings, like myself, to basically keep the kind of that relationship alive for them. So it's like an online memory book where you can upload pictures and videos and write diary entries and interact with other surviving siblings. So I wrote it myself, and I did it, using React and Node.js in the back. As I said, I've been a cloud person, so it was a big change for me to write a full application with the front end, but it was fun, and I had a good time. And so when I was finished, what I did was I reached out to a variety of nonprofits to try to get it sort of integrated or listed with their resources. And what I discovered was that there was no way to really get it integrated. There was a lot of resource lists, but they were stale. Nobody maintained them. People couldn't find things. There are things, but search engines aren't the right way to find things. So I moved on to try to solve that problem, and that is an AI problem, right? So you can imagine, kind of like Yelp, that you can go out and have a conversation or do a query, and looking for appropriate resources, for sibling grief or any real malady or condition, and have a set of really targeted, appropriate resources returned that you then could give feedback on, and then the model would get better over time with this feedback and the ability for people to actually find things. So it's a great kind of way for me to start using AI in a way to benefit my nonprofit. So it's very exciting, and that's what I'm working on right now.
And you are self-employed as well. What you do?
Yeah, so I'm totally self-employed, and I obviously work in my home office. I've worked in my home office, for maybe the last 15 years, long before the pandemic, and it became very popular. But I was doing it well before that because when you're a technologist, it doesn't really matter where you are, right? It's easy to be anywhere, and for me, it was I liked my environment at home, so I preferred working at home, and so I had for many years. So I am self-employed. I am primarily focused on my nonprofit. I do some small consulting. I'm consulting with a small company right now that I met on one of the AWS Slack channels for founders of underrepresented groups, which are women, people of color, that wasn't really a technologist, and so I kind of have helped her. So I have done some things outside of my nonprofit, but I'm primarily focused on that.
So you have worked a long time in your life in technology. Also, the non-profit organization that you have started is looks which you said it is related to siblings, which means it shows the emotional side of yours. So you worked a lot in logical thing, and now you are doing some emotional thing.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I admit to being quite a workaholic at one time. I'll say I think that I got a master's degree in 1980, so I started my career back then as a female technologist. It was not the most friendly environment for women, and I really was very driven and very passionate. So I worked and worked and worked, and I was very successful. As I said, I was a founding team of a company. I've had lots of roles. I have patents, and so I've been very successful, but at a cost, right? A personal cost of working many hours. So I'd say somewhere along the line, I got a better balance. And so I certainly have a nice balance now where I have, other priorities like fitness. I take some musical instruments. I'm learning how to play the cello and the viola in addition to my technical work. So I have now a good balance, but I didn't always have that.
So from last 2 years, you're doing this.
Yeah, so I started this in 2020. As I said before that, the last 4 or 5 years before that, I did this technical due diligence where I was still self-employed, but I was basically a consultant for companies that put together these technical due diligence teams. So what I decided I only wanted to do things in the nonprofit world, or at least things that were purposeful. That I just decided that I was just not going to do anything that wasn't purposeful anymore. So as I said, I did approach them about having this nonprofit arm that didn't work out, and therefore, I started my own nonprofit. But I'd say anything that I do from this point on, whether it be for my own nonprofit or other consulting, which I still am doing, has to have, a purposeful intent. So the little company that I'm consulting, is ed tech, right? So it's education technology for underserved communities in urban areas. So that's something I believe in. I mean, there's a lot of ways to automate that. A lot of places for artificial intelligence to come in for, offering additional resources, mentoring, making sure that kids are actually going to school. There's lots of ways for technology and in particular AI to help with those problems. So if it's purposeful, I'm interested. But I think at this point, I'm limiting my talents and my time to something that hopefully will make a difference.
So you have done your master's or your bachelor's in 1980s. So now you're teaching or you're telling or you're mentoring people like me who are young and about technology. So how is that? What is the difference that you observe?
Well, it hasn't changed as much as I would like to say that it has. Um, I'd say that back in the 80s, right, I got my undergraduate degree in the 70s and my master's degree in the 80s. I have a part of a PhD that I never finished, but I would say that there was more back. I started at Bell Labs, which used to be a part of AT&T, and it was it's like a research and it was research and development. But they were very sensitive to being very inclusive. And so they recruited women and minorities and really included them and promoted them and mentored them. I would say that it was just a great environment to start out in. I'm not sure an environment like that really exists today. Obviously, the field has expanded. When I started, the field was very narrow. Like I could know everything in the field, right? I mean, it was compilers and operating systems and machines. It was stuff like that. So you could kind of know everything. Now the field is really huge. You can't be an expert in everything. So people have to specialize. I'm specialized in cloud and things like that. So I'd say that the field is broader, but it's not as inclusive. There's obviously more women, but probably the percentage of women is smaller, similar for minorities. So you would think over all these years, we're talking 43 years, it's a long time, that we would have made great strides. But I would say that we really haven't, sadly.
So you also did, you also wanted to do PhD.
I did. So I have a part of a PhD in medical informatics because I spent a long time in clinical information systems trying to put the clinical record online, and it was we started a company and it was acquired by Motorola and it was very successful for the 80s and early 90s and then it got sunsetted. But so I was in an area, where there was a lot of clinical information, medical data. And so I was going to finish my PhD in that. But it didn't happen. I was, I obviously prioritized other things over it, and so I never did finish it. And I kept saying, "Well, I'll finish it later. I'll finish it later." Well, later is definitely here, and now it's not really something that I even want to do anymore because I'm focusing on doing this, more purposeful work. So it probably won't happen. I don't think it would have mattered for my career. It was really a personal goal for me, and I'm fine letting it go.
So right now, you're working on this project, which is nonprofit. So, what is the response that you got?
So the response is very good. The problem with it is, I'm working kind of by myself. The projects are big. I've applied for some grants that I haven't gotten yet, but I'll continue to apply for those. So I'd say that response has been good, but I've had to tell my own story as a way to get known. So it takes a lot of my time. So I've recorded some podcasts for the Surviving Siblings podcast. I've gone to some conferences where I've run workshops. So, I am the face of my nonprofit. And every time I'm out there as the face of my nonprofit, I'm not doing technical work. So it's again, a difficult balance. And I would like to be able to get get a grant so I can hire some people that will help. And then it'll go faster than it's going now. It's moving, but slowly.
So what is your intention? What you want to do with this?
So my intention is, as I said, I think there's a lot of resources out there to help people that are dealing with either trauma or grief, but nobody can find anything. I think that's really a big problem. And I hear this all the time as I'm in these conferences. Well, there aren't any resources. No, that's not true. There are resources. You just can't find them. And you can't find them because you go to Google and, Google is good for bringing up web pages. It's not good for bringing up applications, podcasts, books, Facebook groups, all the places where these resources exist. And so, my intent is to solve that problem, for there to be a place where somebody can go and get very appropriate, pinpointed resources that will help them get through whatever stage, in their life they're at, whatever, is causing them to have this anxiety. So that's my intent. And I do intend to use artificial intelligence, in particular. I intend to build my own large language model. Won't be that large. I mean, it won't be like the whole web, but my own model for resources, and have sort of, a query interface to it, have it act as a recommendation engine, and have it have a feedback loop. And what I just described is very general. It could apply to sort of many, many systems that would need a recommendation engine and a query engine. So maybe this, either I will have a system that other people can use through white labeling, or somebody else will get there first and I'll use their system to solve my problem. But that's what I'm focused on. I think there are resources, and I developed a resource, but I think the bigger problem is that people can't find things, and that has to be addressed.
So can I say 40 years of experience is there in this?
Yeah. So 44 years, I guess 43 years, because I got my degree. I actually worked a little bit before my degree, so it's probably 44 years. I've been working as a technologist pretty much full time. So yeah, it's been a long time.
So, like you said, you want to solve a specific problem. Since you have worked as developers, architect, also in the development of the software, you know how the software is developed, and also you know the business side of the technology. Also, you know how technology is helping or solving problems of human beings, and you came with a particular model with which you felt like this is very important uh, problem that most of the people are facing. So after implementing what you have in your mind, so what change happened? What change you did?
What changed that brought me here,
No,
or what do you mean?
what change you did in the world?
What is my contribution to the world after
Correct.
everything that I've
Yeah.
done? Okay. So, that's a good question. I mean, everybody wants to feel they at different points in my career, I felt that I have made, big contributions. Like when I was working on that clinical information system, and we actually had the medical, we were one of the early systems that put the medical record, the electronic medical record online. I felt like I contributed to that. I have patents in it, and I was part of it. That system has been sunsetted, and now there's better systems. So I probably would say that contribution was good during that time, but looking back, it's not great right now. I think that one of the things I will say, being an early woman in computing, is that I've lacked role models. Okay, I came out in 1980, and there really weren't any role models. I would like to think that one of the things that I've done and will continue to do is to be a role model for other people. That you can be a woman that has a very exciting and rewarding career in technology for 44 years. And, I think I would really like, if when I was 20, 25, if I knew somebody like me that had this long career that I was able to interact with, I think that would have been helpful. So I would like to think, at the end of the day, that I can be a role model for people, and that I can show that you can have a life that's complicated, right? Nothing is simple. You have a complicated life. As I said, I'm a surviving sibling. I lost my grandson to a fatal brain tumor. You could take these very tragic events and you can say, you know what? I'm going to take my talent and my energy and I'm going to do something that makes a difference and, will help somebody else who maybe also is suffering from something similar and make it better. And so I would like, if anything, to feel like I am demonstrating how to do that in a healthy and effective and hopefully successful way.
So after founding this idea or this project, so how you impacted, especially this,
How have I impacted personally?
with this project,
Yeah,
non-profit project.
So, for this project, it's a passion project, right? It's not a project I'm doing, for financial gain or anything like that. It's different than, than I think work that, that I did before and that most, younger people do. This is 100%, a passion project that I'm doing because I believe in it. And that's very exciting. It's a big drive to do something because you really want to. You don't have to, but you choose to, and you really want to. And so, it's a great way to wake up in the morning and feel excited about what you're going to do.
So the features that are there in this are your own ideas.
Yes, it's my own idea, and I do have a part of a patent that that I've written. I do have 6 patents, so I thought, well, I understand the patent world, and I don't actually necessarily believe that patents are very useful. I'm not going to litigate anything. I think for me, it's more of a way to really define what you're doing and to sort of let other people know what you're doing. It's a good one of many. There's other ways. It's one good way to do that. And it's good for you to be able to describe what you're doing. And so I do have a piece of a patent that's it's under development and probably will be done at some point. And I'm patenting the back end of what this search engine will be, this recommendation / search engine.
Yeah. So what's your user experience?
My user as a user, or what do I want the user experience to be?
What other users about your?
So I have my flagship application at Sibsforever.org. So it's Sibsforever, one word.org. And I've had very good, feedback on that. And it's a pretty lively community. I've gotten the word out through, as I said, being the face of it myself by recording podcasts and going to various conventions and meetings. That's how I've been able to do it because there is no, there is no search engine. For this, I've talked about doing this and I've gotten wildly great feedback. Everybody says, yes, we need this. This is desperately needed because people don't think there are any resources and it's not true, but they just can't find them. So I've had great, great feedback. As I said, I really need to find ways to incorporate more people. I think there's, probably some ways that I can reach out and get some student projects and it is in the AI field, so it's a piece that a lot of people are excited about, and grow it that way, and then I'll have a chance, again to hopefully be a good role model for doing this kind of work.
And what's your goal with this?
So my goal is, is to deliver it and to be able to basically be able to categorize the online resources, have them reach their community, and have it grow, have a place for these, different, as somebody writes a book, a place for it to plug into so people can find it. Or, somebody puts out a podcast or a video, or they write an application like I did. I wrote, the React and Node application for it to plug in and people to be the right people, the people that will benefit from it, to easily be able to find it. That's the goal. It's really a very simple goal. Simple to say, not simple to do.
So at last, what do you say about your work with my viewers or audience?
So, well, I'm happy to be here and to talk to your audience. I think hopefully people that listen to me can see that I've had this very long career, 43, 44 years, It has been exciting from day one. I have loved it from day one. The work has been interesting. It's always changing, and I've worked with some talented people, and it continues to be interesting. So it can be a lifelong career. You can wear lots of hats and work with lots of people and make a difference in many ways. And so hopefully, I can be an example of having a successful long-term career and being able to choose to do purposeful work is an option that we have. So happy to connect with people and happy to answer any questions anybody has. There's a forum on my website, sibsforever.org. You can contact me, and I answer everything, and be happy to connect with anybody that's interested or wants to ask me anything.
I'll share your web links in the description as well as on the screen as well. People who find the video on internet can see the work that you're doing and the contribution that you are doing.
Oh, thank you. That'd be great.
And what is your observation about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
Yes, I did. So when you initially contacted me, I think it was a couple months ago, I went out and looked at it because I hadn't heard of you before that. So I went out to YouTube and looked at a couple of videos, and it looks like you're interviewing all kinds of people about many different things. And I think that's great because people don't really know, what the different aspects of the field are. What are people doing? What are people working on? And how do they feel about it? And I think that, you're interviewing a whole bunch of different people in different periods of their life, different stages of their career, doing lots of different things. And so it's enlightening. It's enlightening for people to watch them. They're short, they're entertaining, they're easy to digest. So I think what you're doing is really nice. It's good.
And having 40 plus years of technology experience, your feedback or your words are extremely valuable for me. I did masters in software engineering, also bachelors in computer science and engineering. Right now, I'm getting trained as a DevOps engineer. So,
Okay. So good.
yeah. So me talking with experts like you who are already in the industry for a long time, handle different projects and doing service like this, after some time, starting the non-profit organization and serving to the society in somehow way with the knowledge that you have gained. Talking with experts like you, having huge experience and asking questions around the world. So what I'm going to learn from you people and how this knowledge is going to be helpful for me if I work as a DevOps engineer or further roles in IT in coming days.
That's great. Well, I didn't know that you were becoming, I've done a lot of work in DevOps. DevOps got created out of nothing. I mean, developers used to do all that stuff, and it was very exciting to see that, that it's its own field with a real emphasis on automation and pipelines, and it's really made a huge difference, right? And so, it's a great place for people to experiment with and get trained, and there's great careers in DevOps. So congratulations on doing that.
Thank you again. Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes, definitely. Go for it.
And also, can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, you have my permission to do both of those things.
Yeah, thank you again. Keep going, keep doing what you love.
Okay, well, thanks so much. I enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.